the tranquil outskirts of Kampala, amidst the greenery of Pumla Retreat Center, lies a haven of beauty. Meet Ignatius Nkesiga, a man whose journey into the world of flowers began not by choice, but by destiny.
The beautiful thing about these flowers is they're not labor intensive in terms of care. So for example, in this forest you see here, we weed 3 times a year, maybe 2 times a year only. So apart from that, we only harvest.
Now, he may not have trained as a farmer, but he rather inherited a legacy deeply rooted in the soils of Wooddo, where his grandparents sowed the seeds of floral abundance. And he is merely a steward of their vision. The tale of this flower journey dates back to 1977. Were you born yet? Well, I wasn't either. Well, Ignatius's grandparents, Harriet Sally and her husband, embarked on the cultivation of flowers. Their foresight laid in the foundation for what would become a flourishing flower forest, a legacy passed down through generations.
This place you see here started before I was born, and many of us were born. It was started in 1977 was when the planting began. My grandfather purchased this land. And they didn't know quite what to do with it at the time, but one of my judges, Judge Harriet Sally, who's very well known in flowers, suggested to him at the time that he could start growing some flowers on this land, and that it would be a different alternative in terms of retirement, a project that could be done. And so in 1977, they started experimenting and planting the flowers you see here today. So when we moved back to Uganda, my mother's father, Hugo Barlow, who is the one who was the owner of this land, he offered the land to his children. He's like, I have some land there in Budo. Let me report to my mother. She didn't want to come here, myself and my brother too. And then we realized the other treasures which were here, which were planted here.
Though Ignatius joined the floral narrative later in its tale, he embraced his role with unwavering dedication. What began as a perceived embarrassment blossomed into an unexpected opportunity, a golden thread woven into the fabric of his life's calling.
We used to harvest the flowers, then take them to town. And our parents were busy working at the time, so they would do it just as a side thing, that okay, we go to town once a week, we take some flowers there. Sometimes when me and my brother, they would tell us to take the flowers. I'm embarrassed to say this now, but we used to be embarrassed to carry flowers and move and sell. When I realized the value of these flowers is one time my late father was not well. They had gone for treatment in India. Now it was just me and my brother and my 2 sisters who were here. So, unfortunate incident happened where just before they left, the money that they had planned to give us was stolen. They were like, no, don't worry, the flowers are there, you take to town and you get money. For us, we were not clicking that whole thing of you take flowers to town. We would always just take them, we wouldn't touch any cash. So in that time, me and my brother now were taking flowers, and weekly we had some extra money, and that's when I started saying, this flower thing is not as bad as it looks. There's some money here. We didn't suffer when our parents were away. And yeah, thanks to these flowers, the anthurium, the flower of hospitality. Finally, for me, since 2017, Reverend Diana Nkesiga, my mother, handed over and said, you know what? The economy is not the easiest, jobs are not the easiest to come by. And she gave me this place to run, and yes, I've been selling flowers from here since 2017.
Caring for these botanical wonders is a labor of love. yet remarkably low maintenance. With roots planted deep in the earth since the late 70s, the flowers thrive under Ignatius's stewardship, requiring minimal intervention for their flourishing.
The beautiful thing about these flowers is they're not labor intensive in terms of care. And one of the reasons they've stayed here since the late 70s is because of that. So for example, in this forest you see here, we weed 3 times a year, maybe 2 times a year only. And that happens over a process of like 4 or 5 days. They weed and then they go. So apart from that, we only harvest. We don't water, we don't spray pesticides. Of course, when we harvest, we cut our cut flowers, but also additionally, we find dead flowers, we cut them so that more can grow. But other than that, the anthurium is not going to disturb you. You need labor, so much labor or so much work to keep it going.
From the elegant anthurium to the rare Amazon lily, Ignatius cultivates quite the array of floral beauty, each variety finding its niche in the fertile soil of Buddo.
Rough estimate, I would say the ones that I know and that are documented, we have about 7 types, but there are others which are undocumented in this forest, which probably go to maybe 15, 20, and I'm talking about more of the green, the leaves, the different type of greenery in the leaves. And definitely we are open to people coming to study the forest and what else is growing here naturally. Some things were planted, some things grow naturally here. But the 2 main flowers, the predominant one is this one, the anthurium. And then secondary, I have this beautiful lady who likes hiding her beauty. This is the Amazon lily or the Eucharis grandiflora, a very beautiful flower. These are the 2 predominant flowers. They like growing near trees, these ones, and then also they like indirect sunlight. They don't want to be hit with sunlight. So if you see the way this pink is, if it is hit by too much sunlight, it becomes like pale white. It doesn't come out very well. So the darkness that comes out, the dark pink, it needs sunlight but not directly. So you can have trees, you can have also a net on top of your flowers. That's another way you can do it. But if you have a place where there's enough water and there's tree cover, this plant, it will do its, you don't have to worry about it. It will be there for like my grandfather planted, he never knew I would be here still on the same thing.
Beyond cultivation, Ignatius envisions a future brimming with possibilities, from purifying the air to adorning spaces with natural elegance. His ambitions transcend mere cultivation.
Making some contact with Makerere University. Number 1, we want to test the air quality. There was a NASA study in the early 90s looking at plants that purify the air, and the anthurium was listed by NASA as a plant that's an air purifier. It also, in the house, why people like it as a house plant, it cleans the air in the house, also helping people fight these things that cause allergies in the home. Yeah, so that is one of the things. So studying what this leaf actually has to offer, so apart from just the flower. The other value addition really is, yes, I sell them as a farmer. So initially, when I sell in bulk, I sell to the florists. They're the ones who combine them with other flowers and then sell them. So I am also venturing into decorations and selling bouquets as well. Like I was doing, my friends know this Valentine's, I was there trying to push them to buy flowers. So I do combine them with others and sell.
With each harvest, Ignatius reaps impressive financial rewards, as well as satisfaction of nurturing life's beauty.
So I would say on an average week, I harvest about 80 bunches of flowers. Those are 800 stems, so a bunch has 10 stems. And I sell, if I sell you a bunch to an individual, it goes at 10,000 a bunch. That's for 10 stems. And then if you're buying in bulk, that is 30 bunches and above, but let's say maybe 40 bunches and above, I sell at 5,000 per bunch. Yes. So on an average week, let's say after paying workers and fuel, those are my major expenses, workers and fuel, you're at least seeing close to $100 a week, close to, let's say 300 to 350, 300 after expenses a week. That is in the average week. The low season, when I say actually average, let's say the 80 bunches is the low end. On the other weeks where we harvest twice a week, I will be getting almost 200 bunches in a week. That is 2 harvests, so you would say a harvest of about 110 bunches and another one of about 90 bunches. There, it's a bit harder to sell because of the quantity, but there at least you find yourself closer to 500 to 600,000 in the week. They are perennial, they grow all year round, but if it gets below 50 bunches in a week, I don't sell in those weeks. So I would say in the whole year, maybe for about 4 weeks in the year, I don't sell flowers, but then it's covered up by the weeks where you harvest twice a week. So, yeah.
Now we will take a short commercial break, and when we return, it's more on Flora Delight. The markets are available as he supplies florists all over Kampala at Garden City, Uganda Bookshop, the Kampala Serena, Kampala Road, opposite Kwatoto Central, and many more places. The return on investment is something else.
I'm targeting hotels, restaurants, homes. That's to get to the end client, and then for bulk orders, it is mainly the florists in Kampala who I supply. So for them who buy in bulk, it's cheaper. So to the end consumer, normally, we'll sell a stem at 1,000. So 10 stems would be 10,000 shillings. But then if you buy in bulk, that is, so a bunch has 10 stems. So if you're buying like 40, 50 bunches, yes, the price is almost half. So you get about at 5,000 a bunch if you're buying in bulk. We buy flowers mainly on Valentine's Day. I think we forget Valentine's Day and Mother's Day are the biggest. So in Valentine's Day, I normally don't stress. I know that I will take my whole harvest, I put it there, I increase the price. The biggest is Valentine's Day. This year as well was very good. For those that miss flowers on Valentine's Day, Seeds of Gold can bless you with at least a stem. It's not too late. Don't give up on love. When I see my flowers there, I am just really overjoyed that, you know, people are there, people are eating food. My flowers are just there in the background, in the pictures, in the whatever it is, in those moments people share. I know my flower is there. And also the new markets we've tried to open up with the homes. I have very good people who buy from me every single week for their homes. And that really keeps us going because we are assured of that income all the time. And we also know that, yeah, we give it to them. When you buy from the farmer, of course, it's cheaper. So they get to get it straight from the farmer. They know it's fresh. And yeah, it's the fact that come rain or shine, that weekly they see me, I'm there. When I'm not there, it's not a crisis, but the phone doesn't stop ringing. So it's that thing of they've helped me build relationships with people and they've helped me get myself out there. Ideally, the vase life should be for this one is for 2 to 3 weeks, if you look after it well. What you do is you cut the stem at an angle, you put a little sugar and a little jik. That is a trick that florists use to keep flowers fresh. So that one increases its vase life, and also if you keep the water fresh, then maybe after a week and a half or so, if you want it to stay fresh, remove the water, put some fresh water, give it some more sugar.
Ignatius is kind enough to let us know that there are some leaves that are poisonous if you use their sap, but these can be avoided.
We have some leaves here which are a bit, they are known to be poisonous if you maybe like you break them and put the sap on the on the skin. It can cause some irritations. That one is there, it happens. It was one of those flowers which had those greens which had some patterns on them. So in arrangements, it's not very good always to touch those green arrangements.
Workers, put on the right gear for harvesting, and you back at home simply need to employ the experts to teach you a thing or two.
When they cut, they wear long sleeve and long pants because, yeah, just to avoid, sometimes you can get some allergic reactions. It is possible, it happens with some plants. For me personally, I think there should be more snakes here, but in the time I've been here from 2006 when we moved here, I can't say I've seen more than 3 snakes. And I also harvest, and myself, I can't say I've seen very many, but we do also put those pellets that chase them away on the paths especially. Yes, but you would expect them deeper in. There are 1 or 2 sometimes, the small ones, but it's not really a challenge in that way.
Not that, through his floral endeavors, Ignatius has forged meaningful connections and built bridges between communities. Ignatius has also embraced other practices, including cattle farming, the biogas system, which has helped the center a lot.
We do some other things here as well. It is the cows, but also the biogas. We have biogas behind there, and biogas is very interesting because not only do you get the gas, but it also has a natural fertilizer that comes out at the end. So biogas is behind here. So it's not very nice to look at, but this is where we put organic waste, and then in this dome here is where it decomposes, and the gas now, as it decomposes, gas keeps coming up, and then it's filtered back to a pipe, and then once it is fully decomposed, once all those as the fermentation process happens and all those gases come out, there is some liquid which comes out, which is fully digested organic material, and it is a very good fertilizer with all the right nutrients for plants. And we have some good liters of it, and ideally it should be smelling so bad, but this is fully decomposed organic fertilizer. Yeah, so for cooking, clean energy right there.
As we celebrate the month of women, we are privileged to meet Reverend Diana Nkesiga, the mother to Ignatius, as she gives counsel to aid in skilling the young generation.
As we celebrate Women's Day, I'm now a single mother. I don't like the word widow, so I call myself, I'm a single mother. And as a woman activist, God reminds me that men also need to be raised. So he gave me the gift of 2 sons, and I chose to raise 2 daughters. One of Uganda's problems with land is that, one, we hold on to it to live in our wills. But I believe when you're no longer active, you should pass on, you should have a living will. When you can no longer add value, don't wait for your children to fight. Give them the land, direct them in how it can bless them and add value. I chose to give over the agro-flower business to my son. He's young, he's energetic, he's creative, and I believe that he can add value to what we have left behind. He's still under the strict supervision of his mother. And I'm glad I'm doing it while I can. So I ask God to bless you as we begin to embrace new ideas on how we raise our children and make them independent. Happy Women's Day.
If anyone has land like this, covered and wet, I would, for me, if they're willing and able, I am looking for partnerships, definitely. I do have very many tubers of these flowers that I can, if someone is willing to work together, that I can give them and we can grow more. I do want to also get into export at some moment in time, and you can't do that alone. You need partners to do that with, so I am actively looking for partners, and with partners really, you decide. I mean, if I give you a few of them and you start propagating them, and we can sell them together, we all benefit.
With proper care, these natural wonders are timeless reminders of nature's enduring grace. To the young dreamers and future stewards of the earth, embrace the abundance of nature and the opportunity it presents. Whether amidst forest cover or idle land, there lies great potential and possibly a gold mine. Well, that's all we had for you today. Join us again next Saturday. Don't forget to keep those comments coming in, #NTV Seeds of Gold.